let's actually talk about you have a very you're one of the most interesting electricians that I've ever talked to. You have extensive knowledge on digital marketing technology, all the trends, all the
Yeah, I do, and I try not to let anyone know. In at least not in my field. I don't like. I hang out with a bunch of people that are my competitors. But yeah, I do. I had a background in marketing that was sort of by accident. Uh, I A buddy of mine and I were like trying to buy houses, and actually we did buy houses and like fix them up and sell them and that sort of stuff. And we were like teenagers, and like got some mentors on that, and then I ended up learning about some like old school marketing, like direct mail stuff, uh, due to that. And like I said, I like worked at this IT company, and um, I did a bunch of web stuff. If you asked me to make a website now, I'd be like, kill me. I don't know what I'm doing. But you know, uh, 20 years ago, I knew how to do it.
yeah.
And like, yeah, so I've always kind of had some interest in it. And then while I've been running the electric company, like I always tried to hire it out to agencies, and it never went well. And like, I always thought that I knew just enough to be dangerous, or like to know when they were screwing me, um, which was every time. And but I kept telling myself like, I've got like too much to do. It's too much work. So I was just like, yeah, well, we've just got to find the right one. And one of my mentors in the industry, like, he's got an agency, and like I'm 99.5% certain he's tried to like pass it off, like he doesn't use them, but their name's still on his website because he doesn't want me to hire them. And they're kind of bastards, because even though I'm like 20 miles away or 10 miles up the road, like they'll let me hire them. And even though like most agencies won't let you do that. So, I think he's had a good run with them, but also, what he never has told me, and I think may have happened, is I think they locked him into a multi-year contract.
Oh no.
And so, like, because I think they understand that, like, yeah, for 6 months, you're going to hate paying us while we seemingly produce nothing.
Yeah.
And then like 6 months or a year in, when it's like, oh yeah, we get your results now, you're kind of like begrudgingly like, okay, I guess it was worth it. I'll keep paying you to keep getting me results now that you've got this thing like kind of cranked on. But that's
So
kind of the name of the game.
without naming any like companies, what was your experience with previous digital marketing companies? Like, how did you know that they were screwing you?
I hired one kid that was like, he had like a lead generated kid online on some groups that are targeted towards electricians, and like they were supposed to do like an AdWords campaign for me, and that one just drug out for like 2.5 months.
Wow.
And like there was always like some reason or what have you, and so like I fired him. He was at least stand up about it when he got the memo from my bank that we were taking the money back.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, he at least messaged me. It's like, hey, I'm not disputing the chargeback. Like, I effed this up, and like he actually apologized and took responsibility for things not being managed well. Then there was a guy that was a referral that was supposed to build me like a website and some funnels, and because he was like a personal referral, it's the only reason I hired him. And I didn't keep my eyes on him, because I was like, oh well, he's a friend of a friend. It's going to be good, right?
That's even worse.
That it is even worse. And like, so as a rule now, I'll never hire anybody. Like, I don't deal with personal referrals. We don't do it. I'd rather have to find somebody online and like screen them myself, and like, because then they're motivated. There's no underlying BS. So then I hired the third shop, and like I had referrals to a couple, and one guy like delayed my meeting. He pushed it back a week because he said he was like waiting on his team for some analytics data, so they could like. And then he didn't have anything to show me.
Oh no.
And then all the marketing agencies that I had talked to and interviewed at that point, because I kept looking to big companies, that target home service companies. Every one of them would show you like a slide deck that's like, okay, so here's slide 1, and it's like their logo, and slide 2, some clip art of like a website that's not yours, and then slide 3, oh, here's Google, here's a GeoGrid. Like, okay, guys, I know what the fuck that is, and I know where to get them. I know which vendors I can get them for right now. I can tell you out of like the 4 that come to mind, like which one's the cheapest way to get the thing done. Like whip-de-doo-dah. And basically the whole slide deck from everybody is always the same. Like, we'll do your Google Maps for you. We'll do your LSA for you. We'll run some ads for you. We'll do your SEO, and we'll make you a website. And then like the last pages, and here's how we're going to charge you a pile of money for it. Yeah. And like I kind of knew, and some of the guys would be like, oh, we've got our own proprietary CMS. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't like that. Without knowing from others yet, but just from the tech background, I'm like, well, proprietary means I'm not moving it anywhere.
Yeah.
We can't leave. So I immediately am like, all right, you didn't create it because you needed a better one. You create this stuff because you need to box me in. And then,
exactly.
My suspicion was it's not even their CMS. They're just buying a white label product. And then since it's their proprietary thing, well, we're not going to tell you that it's really Dutta. And you could port the damn thing out, but no, sorry. Like, you just want to scrape the pages.
Jeez.
Have fun with that. Like, that's their game.
Yeah.
And so
the unfortunate truth, that is the game.
And then the one dude that flaked on me on the first meeting, on the second one, like his pitch was half baked, and I think he was coming at me of like, okay, well, it'll be like $2,000 a month, and like I think the website was $12,000, so like yeah, 1,000 of it per month for a year was payment on the website, and then the other $1,000 was going towards them doing, some mythical marketing, SEO. I'd rather people just tell me $20,000 up front, and it's going to take us a year to get you a result. Like, that would be more palatable than this. Let's charge you a subscription fee, because you're going to quit before the end of it. You're going to get sick of paying the fee. And then the final company that I went with had tons of reviews in online forums for service business, was referred to me by another vendor. And so, like, all right, cool. They should be good. And like their pitch was a little different. They actually showed me a little bit of what they did, and I was like, okay, fine, just like here's my money, let's go. And like they screwed up in the first month. They published my personal phone number.
I remember you telling me that.
And I'm like,
oh man,
that should have been my sign. My like, okay, like fire them right now. This is a critical error. Like, you guys clearly don't have the procedures in place to stop yourselves from, like, I gave you my personal cell phone number so you would be able to access me, not so that you could publish it to a directory system to make my business show up in 40 different locations, so you can give me citations to my GMB. Great, thanks. By the way, I could have done that myself.
Yeah.
For at most $100. So like 3 months in, they're like, every week they'd give me a status report, but never anything to show for it. And then like, I'm like, all right, you guys are doing other stuff, right? Oh yeah, totally. And like, I would get a backlink report, and after like 2 months of that, I'm like, all right, what do you do? Like, what's the point of making backlinks to my top level domain? And there's 1,200 of them, but they come from 3 IP addresses. Like, I'm pretty sure Google knows better than to like, but the average customer doesn't know that.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's if this interview is going to be like seen by business owners, it's fucking bullshit. All right. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And then there's other signals I won't talk about on here. You and I have talked about, and I was in a meeting once with other business owners, all electrical owners, and my mentor, he almost let it out. Like he started to say the maps thing, and I just shot him this look like, "What are you doing, dude? like that signal's going to be worthless to us if everyone in the room knows what it is. Suddenly we're going to beat everyone, and we're going to be neck and neck with each other, and it's going to suck. Like, don't." And I think, and I don't know if he knew it. Like it was like, "Oh, I can't tell anyone," or if it was like, "Shit, Ted, I just told Ted the winning sauce." Which I already knew it was the winning sauce because they weren't not deploying it. If your competitor keeps deploying it on more and more pages, it means it's working, usually, if they're any good at what they're doing. So anyway.
100%. What do you think business owners should look out for in a report being sent by their marketing company? Like what are the huge red flags, like the stats that marketing agencies are showing these companies?
Like their page rank. I don't care. If they're not if their report doesn't tie to your revenue directly,
yes,
it's worthless. If they can't tell you how many phone calls they're producing, how many chatbot inquiries, like how many people have actually done something, and frankly, if all they do is interact with your site, they don't call you, it's worthless.
Yeah.
And so somewhere along the food chain, like your agency sucks.
That's the only answer. I love that you said that.
Like they either wrote, if they're getting the eyeballs to the website, but they're not converting, and they made all the crap on your website,
yeah,
get someone to rewrite the site. The content on it isn't worth a damn. So
a lot of the companies that we're working with, they're obviously coming from other agencies, and so when we start working with them, they're like, "Hey, our page views are down," but it has absolutely nothing to do with how much business they're getting. It's they're getting views. We had one company that was a plumbing company getting views from other countries. They're only serving like a city in the United States. They're getting like page views from the UK, from Canada, and it's like
there's a certain amount of even on your Facebook page, you just get like crap. It's like it's like spam. I don't know what the game is necessarily. I have a ton of foreigners who've liked my page, and I'm like, well, I don't know what they're trying to do. I suspect they're just trying to make profiles that look legit.
It could be because I don't know if you've interacted with Dennis on Facebook.
A little bit.
So he has like an army of VAs that follow him, and so if you've interacted with them, they might be.
Yeah, it hasn't been recent, but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, he's got all these VAs that are like, oh, how can I make some decent scratch? And
my Facebook is literally ever since like Dennis started like interacting with me on Facebook and stuff. It's literally like I would say 90% Pakistanis, people from the Philippines.
Sweet. So I don't even have to look for them. They're just going to come like, hey, come work. I'll do work for you.
No, I love it. It's great. They're great people.
Oh, they are. I mean,
the amount of people.
A buddy of mine's got a personal assistant in the Philippines. He's like, she's great. He's like, I could never afford this. It's like I couldn't justify that kind of money for a domestic assistant, but like, you know, I message her, she does research for me, whatever, and it's like really very reasonably good English, and like, I don't know, I think he pays her like $10 an hour, which, you know, to somebody over here is like, oh my god, that's so little. Like, yeah, the Philippines, it's a lot of money. It spends really well, so
yeah,
you know, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're like happy, you know.
Yeah,
like it's they love to work, and you're paying them like they're living like kings on the salaries they're getting. They're used to so much less. So
I've got my first domestic hire on Upwork, and I don't know. I don't ask about how much time it takes to make something. I don't really care. She asked me for a budget like 4 times, and I deflected every time until she finally said, I'll do fixed price for you. And she gave me a price, and I said, okay, cool. And, you know, I can't say I won't say it on here in case we cross paths. But, you know, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
With what the offer was.
All what they were able to build.
Yeah. And like what I'm getting in terms of a product for the price tag is phenomenal. Even if it costs me the same as the other vendor as for the total price to build out the website, that's cool. I don't care. The quality of the product is like way phenomenally better. So
100%.
yeah.
Awesome. Kind of want to talk more about marketing and
Go for it.
I feel like you're a rare case of someone who knows both.
Yes.
Um,
And I'm like just reinvigorating my marketing chops. So what would you like to know that I know about?
or would you be cool with like talking about more, just kind of like giving more advice to business owners? Or do you want to hold off on that? Because
So now I'll kind of follow the rule that I can, like, electrical shops aren't going to necessarily see me here. And there's this weird thing that like you can pretty much tell people what you're doing and they still won't do it.
Yeah.
It's really wild. There was a car salesman who had like a bulletin. I've never met the guy or anything. It was just in a book I read. He had a bulletin board of Polaroid pictures of his customers. And he's like always top salesman. Other guys are like, man, how do you sell so much? He's like, oh, I got the dude. I got smiling faces on my bulletin board. Everybody sees that. It's like I want to buy a car from him, and he did other things like that. And so, and like, he's like, he literally, like, other salesmen in the same company would see it and they wouldn't bother to get a Polaroid camera. They wouldn't bother to get people excited. I have a customer who, they're getting a film crew sent to them. Right? Like,
can you we talked about this in our last call, but could you go over that from like start to finish, how this whole film?
He was getting screwed by a contractor, and I was really ticked off with the contractor too. And I've been back and forth for like months. And like by the end of it, I was just so sick and tired of the contractor that like I steeply discounted the project just to take it from the guy. And I got in there and I was like, yeah, this guy was really going to screw you good. You were like, it wasn't a bait and switch, but it was just, over promise, under deliver. Like, he didn't even have an electrician
to do
the work. He was like doing it himself, and then he was going to have like an electrician come in and be like, go pull a permit and say it's good. And like, it was way short. It's like, oh, we don't need a new panel. And I'm like, you don't have any room in it. The sub panel's totally like, it's wired incorrectly. It's dangerous. So like, we should just put a new giant sub panel in that eventually, oh, you want to upgrade the service? Cool. Like, we won't have to change this out. It'll literally just become a panel in the new service because the way the code works today, it's something I could do. So like, I took a beating on it, and he's like, oh man. I was like, I'm going to need some things from you. You're getting about a $12,000 discount. I'm going to need testimonial, sign in the yard, photos, smiling kids in the photos. Like, and I was like, and later on I was like, by the way, I was serious about that. And like, I will pay for a video crew to come out here. And like, when the place is finished with the home theater set up, like, I want I want the final scene to be like, you all watching the movie on movie night, and like your kids spilling some popcorn, like, and like, I just got a message from him that like the contractor's almost done his part, and he's like, man, I can't wait to crack some beers with you when this is all said and done. And I'm like, cool. I'll get the video guy on speed dial. And it was a referral from his neighbor. His neighbor is my best friend growing up, from Scouts, actually. The guy's a Facebook marketer of sorts, but he specialized in like capital raising. So if you have investment opportunities, he's your guy. And like, he'll probably be over there like, okay, here's what to say. and like, because he's got like the script, that there's a testimonial formula, just follow it. But yeah, as far as marketing goes to business owners, if you can't tie it to dollars, it doesn't count. If somebody's selling you page views or like your social media influence, I don't care. Can you tie it to money? Can you tie it to revenue? If you can't do that, it doesn't count. And there are cases where you take a loss on that on the front end, but that's like advanced strategy stuff. Which if you're watching this video, you're not there yet. But down the line, there's ways to figure out if you can afford to lose money on acquiring a customer because you know you're going to make it up in the long run. And then there's like games to play there. And there's advanced strategies on how to actually like make it self-liquidating to where you're spending more to acquire the customer, but it's not your money. And like that's like the third level of doing this stuff. And once you're there, you're invincible because it's literally a game of like you can just afford to spend more than all your competition, and you'll win every time. Guthy-Renker owns the Proactive, skin cream acne treatment stuff, and like Procter and Gamble tried to do like direct response acne product, and I don't know, they did it for like 6 months or a year on a subscription, like tried to do direct response acne product subscription, and they're a multi-bajillion-dollar company, and they quit. They gave up. They can't figure out how Guthy-Renker's doing it. My recollection is I think Guthy-Renker spends $1,500 per customer. And so, like, that shouldn't work. It's what, like a $30 a month product or something, or $50 a month. Like nobody, I think, is subscribed to it like that. They have ways of making that customer acquisition pay for itself to the point that they can spend $1,500 to get you.
Wow.
And P&G can't do it. And they've got 100 or 1,000 times the money. You know, they're a mega corporation. Guthy-Renker was a no-name company until Proactive, really. And there they are. They're a multi-billion-dollar shop, too. And then, like, there's a lot of guys out there hustling marketing stuff. If it's about like the tech side of it, okay, you need like new fresh blood to tell you what's going on. Dennis is the man, because I don't think he actually needs to do this anymore. Like, he just does it for fun. Those are the guys you want, really, because there's a bunch of charlatans out there. And then there's a bunch of people. If you want to learn about like how to write a good ad, there's a bunch of people who say they've got the course for that. They're all full of it.
I asked Dennis like what's keeping him going, because he has all the money in the world. He doesn't need to do any of this. Like, he's just constantly working. And I was just like, why are you doing this? Is it because you want to see as a goal of hiring 1 million VAs, like creating 1 million jobs?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's that. And then he said, it's because I just want to like drain the swamp of all the terrible scams that are going on in the digital marketing realm. That's what's driving him right now. He's just out for vengeance, and I love it.
Dude, I saw him posting somewhere, and like I was like, okay, I don't know what's involved, but like I have vague ideas of what's involved, and like, okay, I'm going to contract somebody to make the damn site. I'm going to contract somebody else. Like I did find some post somewhere where somebody was like, hire people to do specific things, only let them do the one thing they're really good at. So like, if you want high domain authority backlinks, you find the one freelancer that's great at that, put them on it, only pay them to do that. Don't let them touch anything else. When they're done that, get them out, find the next freelancer that's really good at something, let them do, because you can't be good at it all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, find the next. So like, that was where my head was going, and I crossed paths with him, and I messaged him just to be like, hey man, what's the what's your advice to like take this in-house? And he's like, go over here, watch it. He's like, have you watched this video yet? I'm like, actually I have, because like I was just digging around, like, and so I found the video. There's one video that was like how to keep your agency like on a leash or from totally screwing you. And that was a good one. And then he had the other one with the plumber guy. I can't think of his name.
Roger Wakefield.
Yeah, Roger Wakefield. That was a little more into like what to do. I think I'd watched those before he and I really talked. And like, he asked me who the firm was that I was using. I was like, it's these guys. He's like, damn, they shouldn't be effing this up right now. Like, they're big. They should have policies and procedures in place to where like, you're not having this experience. And, like he sends me a screenshot and I don't, with whatever tool, like it is like below his URL bar, his browser. That's like, yeah, they've done literally shit all for you, dude. Nothing. Like there's zero. It's, and I'm like, cool. Yeah. It's kind of what I've been thinking. And then he's like, yeah, send him a message and copy me on it. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, wait, I don't have your email. Like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, you want me to email him? And he's like, yes, because it's using a cheat code. And I'm like, no, Dennis, I get it. Like, I started to piece together that he was somebody important. Messaged my buddy, the Facebook guy. I'm like, do you know Dennis Yu? And he's like, oh, that guy's legend. Why? And I'm like, he's chatting with me right now. He's offering to help. And he's like, what? And I'm like, and then
the amount of emails I've been added to, like yours included.
Right, because you and Roger and a few others, like it's like he's priming you to get ready for like, hey, I got the next one for you.
Yeah, if he sees a company that's been screwed by a digital marketing agency, he'll just say like, reach out to them and CC me in the email. And if they give you any hard time, like having Dennis in an email thread is like summoning a level 100 boss. And
oh, and she got on. He published my website to his group, and she went after him for it. And the group just slaughtered the CEO of this company. They slaughtered her. I regret that I didn't screen cap it because it was so good. It was so beautiful. It was like. And she just kept chiming in and like getting hit harder and harder. And then I should have screen capped it because I went to go show somebody and I was like, she wised up and realized she should delete all her comments now and burn as much of this thread as possible. But he was joking about he was at a convention and he maybe was going to put her website up there for 150,000 people to see it.
It's like one of the biggest marketing conferences in the world. He was one of the keynotes.
And my best friend, he's like, yeah, dude, these people are arrogant. They're not just this firm. He's like, they're all this way. They're effing. Yeah. And to be fair, my best friend had told me months ago, he's like, I'm telling you as a friend and as a marketer, he's like, dump them now, you're getting fucked.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but and you get your head messed up because you're like, wow, we're 3 months in, it's a 6-month timeline. I can't quit now.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. By the way, just call my other advice if you're hiring most agencies is like, if there's a contract, make sure it's like really crystal clear, like the deliverables. And if they've never actually given you one that like you legit like signed that's enforceable in court, call your bank and get the money back. They're always going to give it to you.
I almost like the idea of like not having a contract.
Yeah.
I feel like it only benefits the agency and not the...
Exactly. It does. If that was, I secretly, when I hired these people, I was like, they just had me say agreed in an email.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's like, all right. And I remember my friend being like, like it's going to be another. I was like, nah, I remember in the back of my mind, I think I was thinking like, yeah, worst case, I'm just going to call the bank up and go extract a pile of cash. Yeah. They're the largest collection, like chargeback to date, but the previous one was 16 grand. This one was 20. The first one was like $1,800. So all told, I've charged back nearly $40,000 in fees.
As you should.
From people that didn't have any integrity.
Could you go into that? There's a lot of companies that are reaching out to us that are getting screwed by their marketing agency. They didn't even know chargebacks were an option.
Yeah, you'd be able to look out for them. So you call the bank. The story is always the same. Like, okay, I believed I was getting X. It was on a subscription program or what have you. And they failed to deliver X number of months overdue. The less you have in deliverables, the better. Try not to wait till they've made you a website because they could argue they built a website for you. In my case, that was my biggest fear with the last one, but I also had one of their managers saying, that something they did was gross negligence. So like I had a few extra quills or feathers in my quill, whatever the arrows in my quill. But yeah, like the bank doesn't really care. In fact, the fraud departments are probably so used to seeing chargebacks for marketing firms that the people who have to review your case are going, oh, another one getting effed by an internet marketing company. Like they don't have, and by the way, the fraud department is at your bank. The department that makes the decision is at your institution, not theirs, not at Visa, MasterCard, or at your institution. They have perverse incentive to rule in your favor. The whole credit card system has always been designed to rule in the customer's favor because they wanted people to trust that they could use their credit cards to spend money. Your bank is good. People are like, oh yeah, it's only like 90 days. Mine went back, it happily, gleefully goes back 6 months every time.
Wow.
They will claw back 6 months worth of fees. Don't wait that long. Don't go longer than 90 days, just in case yours isn't that kind. But shout out to M&T Bank. They're really good. I really like them. Even when they screw shit up and like I have to complain to them that like, hey, I thought these charges weren't allowed anymore. Like they just still reverse it all. So it's really simple. It's like the first one's stressful. Like it's a phone call. It's 5-10 minutes. And then be on the lookout. They usually will send you paperwork and you'll have to like send that in. And then if you have anything as evidence to support it, you know, you throw that in there and it doesn't hurt. And it like I said, it's worked out for me 3 times, 2 years, 3 times. I've never, the first 2 sucked. The third one, I was just like, whatever, we're doing it and I'm getting my money.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I was pursuing them with Dennis, just in case, because I was always like, the bank might tell me no this time. Like, I don't know, they might like, but you know, so we'll see if it. And that firm actually sent me a check for the money, and then like later on, like there's an email thread where it was like, oh crap, we're gonna have to cancel that check, and it's not as easy as we thought. And I'm like, it's sitting on my table right here, and I'm debating going down to their bank and seeing if I could cash it. Because actually, if I can, I'm going to hold on to the money, retain a lawyer, and then sue them for damages, and that would be stellar. I would like to get them for any amount of money I could, just to sort of drive the point home, because I don't think they've learned.
They're not. That you are. Some people might say like chargebacks are not a good thing. Like I don't understand that argument, because if these agencies are going around scamming people and nobody does anything about it, they're just going to keep doing it if they're not getting punished.
Yeah,
people like you are stopping it.
Yeah, because they're running most of their charges through effortlessly, so my chargeback doesn't even phase. Like it doesn't. It affects them, but it doesn't, because if I'm the only chargeback and they're processing $100,000 a month through or more, I'm a blip on the radar. It's not going to really. The credit card companies aren't going to start going, hey, you know what? We have a problem with you because you have a satisfaction issue, or like, yeah, too many people are charging you. You know, retail establishment, you get like a 1% chargeback rate. Like you're cut off. No more credit card acceptance for you. You're out. 1%, and they cut you off. But these SEO companies, digital marketing companies, like they're not worried about it. And then you got my buddy who's like, he's been charged back before, and he's like, yeah. That's the other side of it. Is like he told me, he's like, do it, because even if they're in the right, you're still going to win. ask me how I know. He's like, I've had companies where I was in the right and I still lost. But you know, and he said most of the time though, he's like, you know, when he gets one, it's like, he'll call the customer. He's like, why the hell did you call me? Like, like we could have had a quick conversation and like, boom, I hit some buttons and sent you money back. Cool, fine. And he said one customer where they were upset. And he's like, look, the terms were crystal clear. So like, I'm sending you half of the money back, but the first month's fee like is mine because it's crystal clear in the agreement that I sent you and you signed off on. This is the trade we're making. End of story. And at least with his business model, he's like, yeah, I tell them up front they can trade, they can have a guarantee. He's like, I'll give it to them, but it costs money. It costs a lot of money to get he will guarantee performance, but it's like $100,000.
Yeah.
And usually he wants equity. And he's like, but you got me till the bitter end at that point.
Yeah.
And so when the customers want the monthly subscription plan, because they don't want to have to share any of it, he's like, cool. I literally tell you up front, there's no, I'll do the ads, I'll write them. If they fail, they fail. But because there's no guarantees that because it's all about getting for him, it's all about getting the message right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good for him. I like people that know what they want and don't cave for something that they don't want, knowing that they're not going to get the results that they're,
and if marketing agencies would just be transparent about what they can do, what they can't do, what you're purchasing from them. Like if the agency was like, all right, it's X thousands of dollars for the website, and here's what you get with the website, and here's the process for that. Cool. All right, you at least know that that's a work product.
Yeah.
They really should specify the work product for everything. If it's okay, we're going to build you 60 location service pages. Cool, they're building that. By the way, they don't cost anything to build, so don't get ripped off. They're not $200-300 a piece. They're like $20. Seriously, $20.
Maybe less than that.
Yeah, maybe actually.
Subscription, honestly.
Yeah. If they're gonna build backlinks to it that are high authority, cool. Okay, pay for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully make sure they're good backlinks, because there's a lot of ways to make shitty backlinks, and eventually the algorithm is going to catch up to that game, and then you're going to be wondering where all your traffic to your website has gone, and it's going to be all at Dennis's disciples who are snatching it all up, and the few reputable SEO companies that are out there.
Backlinks are insane right now. It's disgusting looking through some of the audits that we do. It's just xyz143.blogspot.com, just some random blog that just shoved a backlink in there. 0 DR. It's what were they even doing?
Yeah. And your GMB is harder to juice up now. There's a time when you could just get citations were everything. You get 200 citations pointed at it. Boom, you're the winner.
Yeah.
Now, if the page that you're pointing to isn't dressed up and there's 9 items that have to be on it, and that's always changing. If you don't have 9 different items on there, including a Google map of your service area for service business, you're going to rank lower.
Yeah.
And that's weird. And then there's hypotheses about other signals and how they interplay into that platform that I can't speak to. A few years ago, I could say, yeah, you just hire Web 20 ranker and buy this package from them, and you'll be number one. Not so easy anymore.
I think that's the thing I love about digital marketing is you can literally, at this point, with how everything with AI is going and all this stuff Google is all the changes Google's going through, there is an unlimited amount of things to do to make sure you're ranking. I don't know how many different SERP features there are, but there's never things, you're never going to run out of things to do. I love it.
And you'll never really run out of them in traditional marketing either.
Yeah.
Which people, my mentor, I let loose and I had done a mailing campaign, and he's like, oh, how'd that work out for you? I'm like, They got like one phone call. And I'm like, he's like, I could have told you mail doesn't work. And I'm thinking like, all right, cool. It actually does work. And I'm not saying how. And like, my lips are sealed.
Good.
Um,
Good. I actually don't know how any of that works. So.
It's, you
Right.
got to be like, what I can say is that it's not a flashy looking mail piece. It's in a regular envelope. It's hand addressed. It's a printed letter. It's black and white, and it works. And there's ways to make the cost. You got to figure out how to drive your costs down in ways that make sense too, and then it'll work. But guys will buy like postcard campaigns and then they'll complain. Or here's how fucked up the industry is. There's a company out there that will do an every door direct mail postcard campaign for you. So all they're doing is making up a postcard and shipping it out. EDDM costs like 18 cents a postcard to print, and you drop them off at the post office, and it's like 18 cents to mail it, which is super cheap. They have to be tied into your Service Titan, and then any leads that come in for so many days in the geography of that mail campaign, they take credit for. Never mind the fact that you got customers in those areas that are referring you, et cetera, et cetera. That's their tracking mechanism, is to tie. And
They
so,
don't use tracking numbers? It's just...
no, and I was in this coaching group, and I was like, make sure you set up a tracking number. And one of the coaches, this cocky little bastard, he's not with them anymore, Drew something or other, who is like a real estate agent, but just real alpha cocky asshole. He's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. You want to target. I think he referred that business to the postcard company. And so he had to chime in his 2 cents. And I'm like, yeah, I should have finished him right there, but I wasn't as confident yet. It's like, no, you have to use a phone number. Because tying into your sales leads in your CRM, you're going to attribute leads that came in through some other means inadvertently to this. And so one guy apparently called them up and is like, hey, I don't want to spend $60,000 a year with you anymore. And they're like, yes, you do, because we're the reason you did that. Like, we could attribute that to $2.4 million in revenue. So they got the first part right. They could attribute revenue to their mailing. But so that would be the second lesson, is make sure that how you're attributing the revenue to the marketing effort, that it's actually correct.
Yeah.
Because
what even is that?
Because how many like a few referrals, and it was an HVAC, by the way. So HVAC systems can cost like 20 grand. So, if it was electric and the average ticket's $800, all right, they probably have something like, they're more likely correct. But when it's $20,000 sales tickets,
yeah,
and on top of that, you're okay, 60,000 to make 2.4 million in revenue, and I think the equipment cost on I don't know what the industry standard. It's a lot of money. It's like $600,000, might be 900 grand in just hard equipment. So did your $60,000 actually net you a profit? I don't know that it did for them, if it was even right. So if you can't tie it back, I mean, guys, that's why they have coupons. Coupons are literally so that we can track the response to an ad. That's why they exist.
Yeah.
You take this little ticket, you bring it in, boom. It wasn't to incentivize people to spend money. No, it's so that we know the ad works.
The only reason I could see a company not trying to whittle down tracking as much as possible is because they suck, and they don't want to show people that they suck.
Yeah, that was probably my other red flags too. Was like, they wanted my call rail, but then like call rail wasn't set up.
Huh.
Like I was like, or like when they made the website, I was like, wait, why is that phone number there? That's like the generic office line. Eventually they fixed it and put it on the call rail pool. But if I were them, I'd want to be like, all right, your call rail's not really set up well. Like, it's like, we know we'll get the attribution that they came through your website, but like, we should take this a few steps further in terms of integrating it with your platforms and getting it to work. And if they had come to me and been like, "Hey, your shit's so fucked up, we need $1,000 to show you what to fix it, and then show you what that gets you," I'd be like, "All right, cool. Here's the check. Here's the money. Help me implement it correctly, as long as it makes sense. What am I getting for it?"
Yeah.
The
main issue with CallRail isn't within CallRail. It's not the CallRail setup. It's the they have multiple dynamic number insertions on the website, like the JavaScript.
Yeah.
I've been through some nightmares, especially whenever the company I'm working with has a hosting company that is gatekeeping the back-end access to the website.
Oh yeah.
So you can't do anything if you have two DNI JavaScripts on a website. You literally, it just doesn't work. It just breaks DNI, so you can't use it.
Okay.
It's normally rogue Google tags, rogue CallRail scripts, all the stuff that a hosting company or a web developer, whatever you want to call it, is gatekeeping. That's where the nightmares are at.
Yeah.
From my experience, at least.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think my personal favorite is, there was one firm that reached out to me. They were a late referral, and a guy called me, and I was like, props to you for actually calling me, since I never contacted you back. That's aggressive. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, we're going in-house with this." And he's like, "Oh, well, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, we're really transparent." I'm like, "That's good. You're the first people that actually have used the T word." And he was like he ran some shit and was like, "By the way, you've got 67 toxic backlinks that you're going to want to nuke." And I was like, yeah, I gathered. Cool. That's the other way your firm will screw you. As soon as they stop rendering services, they won't bother to be running those reports anymore to identify the bad backlinks they created.
Yeah.
And then, deal with them accordingly. So they'll leave you in a worse spot than you started. I haven't looked at my GMB lately, but I just know from the phone calls that Google is not happy with the GMB profile. Something has upset the Google monster on that one. And then eventually I got to get with you on the LSA side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rescued a call today. Working for. I didn't realize it was an LSA lead, and it went to my answering people, and then I walked outside, and I must have had better data, and the app tinged me. It was like, "Hey, if you book this," and it's I called them, and they're like, "Yeah, I was just talking to somebody." "Did you book with us?" "No, I was too frustrated." I'm like, "Okay, that's the third tier answering people. I've got way more authority than them. Tell me what's going on, ma'am." And I kind of walked her off the ledge, and she's like, "Yeah, it was $79 fee," and da 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 da. "Well, ma'am, I'm authorized to waive that." And I'm like, "I just want the call booked," and I go out there, and we charged her the $79 fee because, it was a loose screw. So I'm like, the good news is it's just a loose screw. So it's a booked call, and then hopefully she drops a review on that.
Through
since
LSA.
we turned that, through LSA.
Always.
Yeah, because I think it attributes them, if they have a Gmail account and you've entered that, then I think it'll properly, eventually will attribute, but ideally they're responding to the LSA request directly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually never. I'm not sure how that works with if they don't fill out a review through an LSA request, if their Gmail is connected, if it gets attributed as a Google verified review.
And I'm not sure. And you want them to be the verified. And you also need to, every call, fill out all the frickin' information. Because in the app and stuff, it says that that's just for your purposes. No, Google's been using it for at least a year now. And so that's how I broke mine.
Yeah.
As I thought, why would I put the customer's info in here? I've got a CRM for that. I don't need that shit in here. And then somebody clued me in on that and said, "You got to do that." and it said they're like it'll take about 2 months for things to sort of recover. I feel like I'm just getting back to maybe baseline of where I was years ago with it. I'm still ranked way low, and there's a guy that's one of my peers. I just saw him ranked above me and he's way south of me, and I'm like, son of a bitch. And his one piece of advice to me, he was like, turn the damn thing on 24/7 and make sure someone's like, you've got just anybody answering the damn phone. Because if you want the leads from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, those are the hottest competition leads, and most guys shut it off for the weekends. And so the way to beat them is to get the weekend phone calls too.
Yeah, the 24/7 accounts definitely do better, but I think the most important part is just answering the phone. Like literally just put yourself in Google shoes and do exactly what they want you to do, and then you just crush.
Yeah.
Like give them all the information, answer the phone, serve the areas you have marked as you're serving. Like LSA is like almost so simple that it's kind of complicated. It's just like so, I don't know.
Yeah. 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 The bigger companies can't cope with it sometimes because it's like a buddy of mine, I think, broke his in the same way because I think like his was routing through like his phone system and stuff. And it's like you need to give it like its own phone number. It probably should be like a hard line. And then you should have like your own like a team needs to be dedicated to it, that it's like a priority and everyone else can fucking wait.
Yeah.
Because all your other lead services suck in comparison. I use every one of them periodically. Like I pay more money for lower quality shit leads from third party vendors. LSA is not as good as it used to be, but then occasionally like I'll hit on like a $7,000 ticket and so I'm like, boom, cool. As long as I do 10 phone calls with LSA, eventually we hit the next big one and it all works out. It's money well spent. So then my question is, my big consideration is with the rebrand, do I just make a new LSA account altogether and sort of cause a reset to happen?
If yours is currently like not in a great spot, then I would say yes, and just link it to your current GBP. Which is your current GBP the same as the lights and plugs, or
it sort of is. It is that one.
Like it got edited, so it went from plugs to Wirefox, but it's the same underlying.
Yeah, it's the same underlying. That GBP is the same one underlying because we're technically just renaming the company. But so like, we wanted to keep the high review status.
Yeah.
But then otherwise, as far as LSA is concerned, if I go file a change of name with the state, they don't really know how to recognize that. So to them, it's going to be like, oh, it's Wirefox Incorporated now. Okay. Well, that's a different business. That needs a new account.
If it's connected to the same GBP with a lot of reviews, I think we can fix it without creating a new one.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Just because like if you have a lot of reviews, you are like that's
118, I think.
Yeah. No, that's the currency. You can do anything with that.
Yeah.
I think we can just do some optimization, make sure all the photos are added, everything.
Yeah, there was a different time when I was just going to make more businesses and like black hat my way. And I won't say I won't say how to do that, but I know one of my lead services has a bunch of black hat listings.
Yeah, no, you definitely got it.
And I was like, you bastards! I'm paying you guys $50 a phone call for something I could just, I can make a fake listing. Yeah. And I just, the mailing address costs $50 a month. It's only got to get one phone call, and I'm at break even with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you can make a lot of fake Google users if you buy some cell phones and like some Ting Mobile SIM cards.
Yeah.
but you got to make sure they actually look like people, and that's the hard part. So that means you got to carry a phone around with you, and it can't have it next to yours.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the tough part. And then you got to like leave reviews at stores and stuff. Have a new Gmail account, like be interacting with it, and eventually they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. Like the federal government, they make whole fake networks.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy shit going on when
they make honeypots that like imagine that there's like a fake NSA honey that's like honeypots of like email addresses and networking shit, and like the emails have like fake messages between each other like it's real people, and that they've engineered like total network enterprises that exist just to try and cause attackers to attack them, so we can go, oh, that's how they're breaking the system. Cool. And then that way they affect a system that doesn't matter. It's totally fictional. But they don't know any better. Like they've got it dialed. There's
some scary stuff going on with those 3-letter agencies.
Yeah, probably.
It is highly convenient to not be like tracked at all times. To really go out of your way to.
You do now. I'm like, you start thinking about like, I mean, my damn work truck tracks me.
Yeah.
I didn't even want it to, but it does. Ford knows how often I change the oil.
Yeah.
Like, which is some bullshit. Makes it real easy for them to deny a warranty claim now.
100%.
Now the good news is like I could just yank the antenna out. I know where it's at, but I'm not telling my guys that. And I really like the ability to see, like I can see the truck on my phone.
Yeah, I feel like that's nice as a business owner.
If I wanted to screw with somebody, like I could literally get on my phone. The truck could be parked 20 miles away. I could be like, "Hey, honk the horn," and it'll do it. So like I could hit the emergency, and I think it'll do it. I don't know. They might realize I'm too far away. But like if I want to start the engine, I could start the engine. If I want to lock the truck, I could be in France. I can lock the truck door. Kind of cool. But then, did you see that woman who was in her Tesla? She was Chinese billionaire, something to do with Mitch McConnell, and magically her Tesla backed itself into a lake.
Oh, I'm not surprised by.
They whacked her.
Yeah.
She's totally like, they totally are just like, we're just going to use the.
Yeah.
It's funny because like, they didn't even, I'm like, yeah, you think that wasn't, I mean, maybe it was China that did it. Maybe they wanted her dead, but maybe it was us.
I mean, if there's a way to build a back door into something that can look like an accident, like it's going to be built. It's already built.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the fact that the Tesla is totally autonomous, drive-by-wire. And I'm like, yeah. You think CIA doesn't know how to back a car? Like, she couldn't unlock the doors or roll the windows down either. Yeah. That's how you know it was a hit.
Yeah.
Magically, the car she lost control of the vehicle and she couldn't operate the doors or the windows.
I'm sure it was, a malfunction from Tesla. There's no way someone whacked her,
I think if I were Elon, I would be like, it's not a malfunction. Our cars are better than that. Unfortunately.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He's going to be the one backing up into a lake if he.
Maybe that's why they did it.
Yeah.
If I were Elon, I'd be buying a Porsche, an old Porsche with no computer.
Yeah, like a 960 something.
Yeah, just what I'm in. I'm in the market for a 997. So like a 2011 to 2014 era, the last stick shift Porsche 911.
Huh. Like actually, or
yeah. But
I don't know anything about cars, but I'm sure that's a cool one.
It's the marketing buddy of mine's got one. I've driven it a few times. I've been meaning to buy one of these for like a year now, but I figured I'd just keep plowing my money into online marketing, and then I got to buy like more trucks and stuff, and then I can maybe splurge on a $60,000 to $90,000 car that And if you think that's a steep bill, then wait till you got to do something to fix it. You don't get out of the repair bill for under $5,000 on that thing.
I bet.
So
Not a lot of parts floating around for that, huh?
I think there are, but like it's just I think you have to you have to drop the engine out of the car to do work on it, so it's always like a $5,000 bill.
Jeez.
There's not many mechanics there's special equipment to do that, to make it easy, and not many people have it. So like there's not many and you wouldn't trust the car with most mechanics anyway. So there's like a handful of Porsche mechanics out there that are independent, or you're going to the dealer. Yeah, painful. So,
Perfect.
as my friend said to me, there's no such thing as a cheap Porsche.